I appreciate it. Okay. My name is Dr. Alon Friedman. I'm a professor of medicine at Indiana University School of Medicine, a physician of 30 years, and a medical director of a local dialysis unit. For the past 22 years at Indiana University, I've cared for patients of all types with all backgrounds, taught trainees of all levels, and conducted research. I'm considered an international authority on nutrition and obesity in people with kidney disease. Today, I'm here to help urge you to vote for Senate Bill 235, which places limits on DEI. Please note that my testimony represents my opinions only and does not necessarily represent those of IU or IU Health where I work. Being a physician has been tremendously gratifying spiritually, emotionally, and intellectually, which is why it's so painful to have watched the DEI movement gradually but successfully capture all major medical institutions in the U.S. and in Indiana, with support from medical leadership of all levels. In my opinion, the damage that DEI has inflicted on my profession has been enormous, which is why I believe it must be completely expunged from every corner of medicine. Due to time limitations, I'll focus on three major reasons why this is the case. First and foremost, the DEI movement is harmful to patient care because it dehumanizes patients. What I mean by that is that the DEI ideology classifies all individuals as belonging either to an oppressor or oppressed class and treats them accordingly, instead of treating each patient as a unique human being. I've been shocked to witness on numerous occasions medical trainees or physicians expecting patients to adjust to their pro-DEI beliefs rather than them adjusting to their patients' worldviews. This behavior undermines a fundamental millennia-old tenet of medicine, that physicians place their patients' well-being above their own interests. I've also unfortunately seen examples of how putting DEI ideology above patients' interests leads to adverse medical outcomes. A second reason to support SB 235 is because DEI rewards group affiliation over individual achievement. It undermines the foundational assumption that individuals are chosen to become doctors based on academic and holistic excellence. There is simply no doubt that DEI has undermined excellence in medicine, and every American should be frightened by this. A prominent example is what happened at the prestigious UCLA School of Medicine. Recent attempts to force DEI into their admission process led to unprepared students being admitted, and up to half of all UCLA medical students ultimately failing basic tests of medical competence. One former member of the UCLA Medical School admissions staff said that DEI has turned UCLA into, quote, a failed medical school, end quote. I have no doubt that DEI has degraded quality in Indiana and elsewhere. One way it's done this is by forcing medical schools to switch from actual grades to pass-fail scores, which has now become the norm. This was done intentionally to obscure academic differences between trainees, since it prevents distinguishing students achieving academic excellence from those that don't or haven't. This is as much a disaster for the general public as it is for the medical training system, since medical excellence can no longer be differentiated from mediocrity. Fortunately, SB 235 will fix this problem by returning to actual grades. A third reason to support SB 235 is because DEI encourages a hostile mindset and grievance-based mentality that is not fit for an academic institution. I am very familiar with this problem since I experienced it myself. A few years ago, I published, as a private citizen, a very short, respectful letter in a local newspaper where I argued that hiring the first DEI administrator in my local public school system would harm the quality of education in that system. I was immediately attacked by a social media group that posted fake negative reviews of my medical care on the internet and tried to get me fired from IU School of Medicine. Shockingly, certain students, faculty, and even diversity deans at the School of Medicine took up their cause. They called me racist on social media. They considered picketing against me in front of my patient clinics. Ironically, one of the patient clinics was where I treat the indigent of Indianapolis. The medical education office told students they didn't have to work with me if they didn't want to. Some of them also tried to get me fired. Things got so bad I felt obligated to hire a lawyer. There was even a whiff of anti-Semitism in some of the social media posts. Not surprising, since studies and empirical evidence show high levels of anti-Semitism among DEI supporters in academia. My experience highlights the Stalinist-like mentality of the DEI movement. While the D is set to stand for diversity, my experience and those of many others around the country in the medical field and elsewhere show that it stands for domination, discrimination, and divisiveness. As my story shows, the DEI movement will crush anyone in its path who does not accede to its demands or worldview. The most troubling aspect of this experience of mine were accusations that I was racist, since I've devoted my entire 30-year medical career treating, and too many times to count, saving the lives of the poorest and most unfortunate individuals in our society, who more often than not were of a racial or ethnic minority. In conclusion, I urge you to support SB 235, which I'm certain the silent majority of physicians in the state support because they, like me, just want to practice medicine, maintain high standards in their profession, and care for their patients without any ideological axe to grind. I'm done and would be happy to take any questions you have.